Hey guys, Nick here with Picture This, and today we're going to be editing some of my photos and breaking down my workflow and how I edit mine personally. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into the editing. Okay, so to start off, these photos were taken a few weeks ago, back when I was doing the T2I video. If you guys haven't seen that, click the card up here. I think it's up there, and check that out. Anyway, it's just a picture of a knife I took. I thought it looked pretty cool. I don't think I want to do it. I don't like this horizontal because I can't like Instagram post it or something like that. That's why I would edit a photo like this. But we're gonna jump back to this first one. So depending on the photo, like something like this, we'll just like hit the auto button, see what that does, and sometimes it gives us good results, sometimes it doesn't, and in this case it did not. So we're just gonna go back to our regular adjustment sliders here. We'll just bump it up just a little bit, bump up our contrast a little bit as well, lower our highlights, raise shadows as per what I normally do. So what I am also going to do is I'm going to crop in a little bit. Some people don't advocate for cropping, some people do. I personally think that don't crop unless you have to. Sometimes it could take away from the image, and that's something you don't want to do. So anyway, going back to our image here, we're just gonna lower the saturation because this is what I do personally for my edit, and I think I'm actually gonna crop in again, really highlight the texture of the knife there. Probably center it like that. Oh, that looks a little off center, so I'm gonna adjust it a little bit more like that. But then the knife doesn't look centered either. Another thing that I'm also concerned about is cropping in too much, because the T2I is a 18 megapixel sensor and you're cropping in, it doesn't really preserve as much detail. So when you're cropping in, as far as I have, you're losing a lot of detail. Keep that in mind if you're cropping in on a lower megapixel sensor, I guess we'll say. Anyway, we're going to do a little faded look. So we're going to lift up our blacks a little bit, not too much where it's like blown out like that and it just looks terrible. But within some reason, of course, we're still preserving some of the detail. And then we're going to put another point there and then drop this section, this part of the blacks. Not so much because then it just looks monstrous. But so just add a little bit of fade to it. Bingo. I don't really like the red hue of the knife, so we're gonna change that a little bit, make a little bit of a lighter red, a little bit more saturation on there. We're gonna go to our HSL tab actually, click this section of the knife because I want to change the color of that section. It's just not happening. It only wants to change the shadows. That's nice. Anyway, so we're just gonna bring it back a little bit more towards red instead of orange. Anyway, split toning we're gonna hop to next. So with the highlights, we're gonna do our red right here, do a little saturation bump. Ooh, I actually kind of like the look of that because it's a little bit warmer, you know. Ooh, I could change all different colors. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, I actually kind of like that orangey. No, that's too much. We'll put it about there. What do I do if I... Ooh, that's a little too orange. So we're gonna go like a slight orange and a slight orange in the shadows as well. That I'm kind of trying to go for like a warmer photo, so we'll just go with that. This is already super long, so I'm just gonna like speed this up or something, and then we'll go to the next photo here. Okay, so I just finished that photo. You can see it on the screen right now. It's kind of where I want it. I was envisioning something a little bit different with the tones of the knife and of the actual like boards that it was on. I really couldn't get it where I wanted, so I'm kind of mad about it. But I think it's a decent edit. I don't think it's post-worthy, especially because it's like horizontal instead of vertical. And when you're posting on something like Instagram or I don't know, like Twitter or whatever, you want the taller vertical higher aspect ratio, because then it takes up more screen real estate, and that is a good thing. Which one do I like the best out of all three of these? I think that one's probably the worst. We don't like that one. I don't like that one either. We're gonna bump that one off. And we're gonna go with this one, actually. So first thing is I don't like this little green blob here, so I'm gonna go to my spot removal, spot healing tool, as they say. We're gonna increase our size relatively big to cover the spot. And then, I don't know, go where it was before. Actually didn't look bad. Perfect. So now that spot is gone, and it almost looks like it was never there, which is pretty sweet, I must say. So, anyway, I'm going to lower the exposure just a little bit, lower the highlights, bring up our shadows, big time. So what I'm doing basically is creating contrast, because when you use the contrast slider, you're basically doing the same thing. We're lowering the highlights and bringing up the shadows. Basically the same thing as using the contrast slider. So we're gonna add a little clarity, because why not? Makes the photo a tad sharper, but be careful not to over sharpen. So next we are going to do our tone curve. We're gonna do the same thing as we did before. We are going to raise our blacks like so. And then we are going to lower them on this side right here. Okay, a little bit further. Beautiful, okay. So we're gonna take our red, go a little bit like that. Saturate it a little bit. Okay, just minimal slight adjustments, because like if you go overboard, it's gonna look really weird. I'm gonna go back, do the texture, because then you can really see the texture in the knife and everything that it's been through. I actually kind of liked what the split toning did with the shadows, so we're gonna warm it up a little bit here. Not a lot, because the previous photo was a little overbearing. It was like that, it just looked disgusting. So I'm just gonna add a little bit orange tinge to it, and then add a radial filter to finish it off. Not too high of an exposure. Stretch that bad boy out so it's a little bit more subtle. And then take our feather, turn it up. So again, that is defining the edge between the filter and the rest of the image. Or if I turn it down all the way to 0, you can see it's a clear line. And then if it's like almost maximum, it's very, very minimal. So anyway, there's that edit. I actually like that much better than that. I mean, I'm probably going to delete that. Truly, like, much more clean. And it's just minimal, which is something you want to go for when you're editing. You don't want it to be like too oversaturated, or you don't want to pull the highlights too far down, because then you get like this ghosting and fringing on the edges of darker objects, which doesn't really look good. It kind of looks funny and unprofessional. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about right now with this photo, because this photo is a little bit overexposed. So we're going to delete its friend right here, and I'm going to show you the guys this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the highlights all the way down, and then if you take a close look, you can see a little bit of fringing along the tree line, just all the way up like that. Part of it's chromatic aberration, part of it's the highlight fringing, because as you can see, as I bring the highlights down, the fringing kind of comes back in. But when it's up like that, you can't really see it as much because it's blending in with the rest of the highlights. Anyway, this is this photo. I'm going to bring our highlights down just a little bit. Again, just a little bit, not too much. Then I'm going to lift the shadows just a little bit, and then we got that light coming in. That looks so nice. I'm actually just gonna add a little bit of contrast, even though I did a little bit of it manually. We're gonna take our clarity, take down our saturation, because that's a little bit more of my style in my editing at least. And then take that, and go like that. And then that's basically most of my little edits, but again, it's just more on a per photo basis. I try to treat each one individually and with care if I can. So I guess that's a pretty minimal edit on that one. Again, nothing spectacular. So again, sometimes I'll use auto and then just adjust from there. So auto did not give me what I wanted, not even a little. So we're gonna take our exposure just a little bit like that, bring down the highlights, raise up our shadows. Okay, that looks pretty okay to me. I'm actually gonna lower the exposure because I'm gonna do a different edit on it. But take the clarity, lower the saturation just a tad. Again, you don't want to go overboard with that either, because then your image is gonna be like black and white, and it's just not good, not something you want. Unless of course you want the black and white look and then go right ahead, but that's not what I'm going for with this image. Okay, so there's our curve with that. Ooh, like I don't want to overdo it on the orange tones here, but I kind of like the look of that. And then take our green, go a little bit in the green, not too green though. And then we're gonna do a good old radial filter like that. And then to add some focus, emphasis on our image here. And again, another very minimal edit. So I think some of what I was trying to do with this image is trying to pull out those orange tones. And oh, just unplug my laptop. That's not nice. Okay, we're back. So anyway, as I was saying, trying to pull those orange tones out of leaves, lower that exposure, lower down our highlights, raise our shadows just a little bit, add a little bit of clarity, take down our saturation, not too much because these leaves are already pretty desaturated because they're dead. Then we're going to go down there to our blacks, pull them down just a little bit. I'm going to take my HSL, click this, and then click where I want it to adjust. Oh no, what the heck? There we go, come back. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna pull our orange tones out of it. Take our highlights, do a little bit of orange, just a little, just like a hair, just a little bit. And then add a little bit orange in there. And then we're gonna, instead of doing a radial filter, we're gonna come down to effects and then do a little bit of a vignette as opposed to a radial filter. Okay, this video is running really long, but I hope you guys saw in these 4 images the different things I did to kind of shape the image and shape the hues and the tones and everything to how I wanted it to look. Again, a lot of these edits are like personal preference. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, found it helpful, educational, maybe taught you a little bit about my style, how you can find your own style for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment below, make sure to subscribe, share this video with a friend, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.